You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Just because I walk as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my sassiness upset you? Don't take it so hard just because I laugh, as if I have gold mines digging in my own backyard. You can shoot me with your words, you can cut me with your lies, you can kill me with your hatefulness, but just like life, I'll rise. Does my sexiness offend you? Oh. Does it come as a surprise that I dance as if I have diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past rooted in pain I rise. A black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling and bearing in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear I rise. Into a daybreak miraculously clear I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave. And so, wow. There I go.
After we listen to the poem, now we will discuss about what the poem is. A poem is a literary work in which special intensity is given to the expression of feelings and ideas by the use of distinctive style and rhythm. The function of poetry is to convey emotion or ideas to the reader's or listener's minds or ears. A poet is a person who writes poems. The elements of poem. Rhythm means the flow of sound produced by a language. Rhythm communicates the emotions of the poet. Sounds. Poets often use the sounds of words to create effects in their poems. We call the word rhymes. All that I know of a certain star is it can throw like an angled star. The rhyme scheme of the poem is ABAB. Imagery refers to the sensations that the language creates in the mind. For example, one must have a mind of winter. Forms. Poets give form to their verse in various ways. Much poetry, especially written in the 90s, has no rhyme scheme. Such poetry is often called free verse. A figurative language. Figurative language is a language that is used to fill the need for a richer and more colorful statements in order to present their ideas. Personification gives human forms, power, feelings to animals, objects, or ideas. It makes things appear like a person. Metaphor. A word or phrase is taken out of its usual setting and placed with another words to suggest a likeness. Simile. Two quite different things are compared because they appear to be similar in at least one character. Kinds of poetry. Lyric, the most common type of poetry. Narrative, tells stories. Epic, describing the deeds of heroes in battles. Ballads, stories about a particular person. Dramatic, tells stories but in a dramatic way. Listen to an analysis of Still I Rise.
Originally published in 1978, Still I Rise is one of Maya Angelou's most celebrated poems. Published as part of Angelou's third poetry collection, the piece was written during a highly prolific time in the author's career. Angelou grew up in Missouri during the height of Jim Crow-era racism. She focused this poem on the power of hope in facing overwhelming adversity and oppression, particularly that which has impacted Black Americans since the dawn of slavery. Therefore, Still I Rise can be read as a celebration of Black joy and resilience in the face of hardship. The poem is made up of 9 stanzas and takes the form of a call and response, with the speaker addressing an unspecified oppressor in the second person throughout. The repetition of the word you seems to refer to both an embodied individual and the larger systems of white oppression built to target Black Americans, just as I seems to refer to both the speaker herself and the Black community as a whole. Addressing her oppressor, the speaker declares her ability to rise above hatred and bigotry, which ranges from intentionally misrepresenting Black history to committing acts of physical violence. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. This act of rising is described as timeless and eternal, a magic trick that she and her community will perform. They will continue to persist with the same constancy as the natural world. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, or like dust, they will rise. The speaker also asks her unspecified oppressor if her sexiness upsets them, or if her haughtiness offends them, as they seem disappointed that they cannot keep her down. She brags that you would think she has oil wells pumping in her living room and diamonds at the meeting of her thighs, for all of the confidence she exudes. Despite the oppressor's eagerness to see her broken, with bowed head and lowered eyes, she will carry herself with the confidence or even cockiness of a rich and attractive woman. These alternating declarations of joy and rage culminate in the last 2 stanzas of the poem, wherein the speaker describes herself rising up from the shame and pain of slavery, describing herself as the dream and the hope of the slave. Filled with hope for a new day, Angelou's speaker closes the poem with the repetition of the 2 words that run triumphantly throughout it. I rise, I rise, I rise.
As it has been explained, what made her decide to write the poem at that time is because she, other Black people, and Brazilians were being treated unfairly. There were many racism and discrimination against them. This happens because we lack of knowledge, understanding, and respecting others' culture. What she said is we live in a diverse world community, culture, race, ethnicity, gender, religion, and so on. Those diversities make this world beautiful and unique. We cannot compare each other, assume one culture is better than another, and categorize a person to a particular culture or race. What we should do is understanding and respecting other culture, race, community, and so on. This poem proves that when there is someone who treats unfairly, acts racist, or judge, we should do what we want to do. Everything must go on, and we rise as who we are. We should not be ashamed of what we belong to. We can see Barack Obama can lead American and world. Michelle Obama can change Western thoughts. Our culture is what shapes us. It shapes our behavior and our identity. Culture is our way of living. It refers to the shared language, beliefs, values, norms, behaviors, and material objects that are passed down from one generation to the next. Let's talk about Indonesia. Cultural diversity is important because our country increasingly consists of various cultural, race, and ethnic groups. We can learn from one another, but we must have an understanding level each other. Learning about other cultures helps us to understand different perspectives and to erase negative stereotypes and personal biases about different groups. In addition, cultural diversity helps us to recognize and respect ways of being that are not necessarily our own. When we interact, we can build bridges to trust, respect, and understanding across cultures. Furthermore, this diversity makes our country a more interesting place to live in.